Morning, everyone. Alrighty. It's Saturday. I thought I'd have time to make a few slides for this, but I did not today. Um, and I'm also still kind of pulling up Windows, just what we're going to talk about today. I was riffing on some new ideas, so um, I'm not quite sure what's going to come out as we talk, but it's going to be interesting and it's going to be fun. Um, Let me just. I always like to have the. There we go. Good morning, Roma. I always like to pull up the Facebook page as well as where I'm streaming from, so I can see your comments and who is who is leaving them because sometimes I can't see. Whatever, technology, that's that's the speed of it every day. Hello, hi, yes, I am doing okay. We are in yet another COVID maybe situation, semi-quarantining. Okay, what is going on? Oh, having a snowstorm out there. We've had such nice weather for the last week, and it always makes me nervous because I do not know what's coming next. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. All right, all right. So, my I don't know if you know this, but usually I come up for the idea for whatever I'm going to talk about like an hour before we go live. So I was really starting to think about goals, motivations, values, how they all work together. Oh gosh, sorry, the screen is just like glitching like crazy. We'll just scroll it out of the way so I don't have to see it. But yeah, um, yeah, I was. Okay, here we go. Today we are going to be talking about goals, motivations, values, and a lot of the time I don't really know what I'm going to talk about until like an hour or so before going live. So today I have been really kind of deep thinking about how they all fit together, how it all works, as well as beliefs and values, and how that system, how all of those thinking systems work together. And of course, in the character workshop, we talked about all of these different things, and I know there were questions around values, a little bit of lack of clarity or really on my part, a little bit of lack of clarity around values and what values are doing for you. And so I was just in conversation with my husband. And for those of you who don't know, he's actually a leadership trainer. And both of us like to nerd out on personal development. And, we talk about our own limiting beliefs, our own goals, but also like our motivations, the values that we have, how we're always going to get there. And so for me, the distinction between goals and motivations, values, and this is really what we were talking through and why I didn't have time to make some slides to go with this because we were talking about it and it was getting really interesting. But um, goals are what you want. Goals are what you want to achieve or do, or sometimes have changed, sometimes have stay the same. Motivations are your reason why. Motivations are, I want to, go to the store and get supplies for baking a cake, for my nephew's birthday. We've had a lot of birthdays recently, so that's where my head is. But goal is this is what I want to do, but the motivation is I'm doing this because I really love my nephew, and my motivation is to make him a cake, to make him happy. Like that's at the core, that's underlying the goal, that's the reason why you want, why as a person or your character wants to achieve a certain goal. And then what about values? So values are really things like integrity, things like authenticity, things like creativity. And values are really about how you are going to fulfill the goal, how you are going to do the thing that you set out to do to fulfill the thing that you are motivated by. So, for example, I bake cakes for the family, and I mean, I love baking cakes, but, a lot of that comes because my value is in giving and my value is in creativity. So, that's what I do to celebrate birthdays with the family, and my poor sister-in-law had sickness shut down, big milestone birthday, and I baked her like 3 cakes because I was so stressed about making sure that she felt happy on her birthday. So I literally baked her a cake on the actual day, and then, she had requested, like, a smash cake for her for her, for her birthday party, so I made her one of those, and then I made her, like, a party birthday cake too that we could actually eat that wasn't just covered in her fingers after she smashed it. But, I really got into doing that because, again, my value is in giving and my value is in creativity. So that work together. Now, if you think about it though, um, if your goal was to make sure your sister-in-law had a good birthday and your motivation was because you wanted to make sure she was happy, you might have a very different approach to that. You might say, you might have a value of time. And so instead of, time or communication, and so instead of baking her cakes, maybe you call her on the phone for a couple of hours. Maybe have a giving value but not the creativity value, and so it's, here's a gift card for fancy spa services. The value is how you fulfill the goal. So that's really what we're talking about with our characters, is understanding what are those core values. And of course, you can, if you Google it, and I did start putting together a big list today of different values, different ways that people show up in order to fulfill these goals. But you can Google a long list of values. I saw one that was like 100 and something. I saw one that was 200 and something, like huge lists. You can Google that, but really what you're looking at is figuring out what are the maybe five-ish really core ways that they show up in the world. And again, we're not talking about what are their goals, what is their motivation, what is their beliefs. We're talking about what are their values, what's at the core of their personality. So again, if you look at me and you think about what I do for a living, where I create, I write books, I love creating courses and doing little teaching things like this. So I'm creating all the time, but I also love giving, again, because I often think about my books as how I can generate an experience in the reader. I think about get-togethers like this, or the courses that I run, as how can I give to other authors? How can I give some of my experience away? And so those core values show up consistently in my life in many different ways. And that's really the key or the core of values. And that's a very deep understanding of a character's personality. To me, that's understanding that, the reason why we're going to the Hunger Games again. The reason why Katniss wants to get out of the arena is not because she's concerned with not so much concerned with self-preservation, but she's concerned with taking care of other people. She's concerned with that really kind of caring, giving sort of value. And that shows up over and over again in different ways. She is always has this root value of caring and giving that underlies all of her goals. And that whenever she has a motivation, she looks to those values to say, how am I going to fulfill this? Not a conscious looks to, but how am I going to fulfill this? And how are the ways that are going to feel right to me? How am I going to feel that I'm doing the right thing? Essentially, how does a person gauge what is the right thing in this scenario, or whatever scenario they happen to be in? And it is a little bit different than beliefs. So then we always have to contrast beliefs and values, because values sits a little bit in between. Goals is very external. It's very physical. It's, I'm going to achieve this thing that you can physically see. The motivations are also pretty external, pretty measurable, a little bit less measurable than an actual goal. But then we've got a value that is is much more internal. It can be measured. You can say, am I showing up with creativity? Am I showing up with integrity? But has a much more internally guided system of deciding whether you've achieved it or not. It's not like there's a well understood and defined checklist of, are you showing up with integrity? Are you showing up with authenticity? Are you showing up with creativity? Whatever the value is, it's very much a personal feeling whether you're fulfilling that value or not. And then the beliefs again are also very internal, very personal, usually very feeling based as well. Of course. So the difference between beliefs and values is that beliefs, though, are really about how you perceive the world. So it's sort of like beliefs are coming in, or are they're the lens that you view through which you view the world. And so your belief is, you see, XYZ happening over there, and the belief is what filters how you interpret what's going on. Values are about coming out. So values are about how you interpret your own actions in the situation, and about how you decide your own actions. So for me, if I think about my sister-in-law example from the weekend, or a couple weekends ago, I guess, she we had this whole, we had a thing planned, and then of course sickness ran through, pandemic, nightmare, whatever. And so we had a party planned, and I saw that event. I mean, physical event, we had a party planned. It didn't get to happen because of restrictions. That's all there is to it. Of course, my belief system filtered that as it came into me, and my belief system said, that sucks. That really sucks for her. And so then my belief system started to kick in. It started talking to my motivation, which is, keep my sister-in-law happy because I love my sister-in-law. Um, and so then it sort of mixed with the motivations. Then I developed a goal. I said, okay, well, my goal is to my goal is on a deep level, my goal is to make her happy again, or to make sure she has a good birthday. And then I started combining that with my values. I said, how can I do that? This all happened very fast because my go-to is bake a cake, but it happens very fast where your character says, okay, the values I have, the way that I am going to show up in the world, that the way that I'm going to show that I am succeeding at, my deep goal or my motivation is by doing XYZ. And so values again are very much about how you show up in the world. For me, and I don't know if you've ever read the book the five love languages. It talks about this very much. It says you as a person are going to have values, and it's a relationship book, of course. And it says, the people in your life are going to have different values. And so there are times when for you, the way that you instinctively want to show up. So for me, instinctively wanting to, be creative and to give, and to provide that for her, sometimes that doesn't always gel. Sometimes that is so if she does not have a similar value system, if she doesn't also have a value system that says, that appreciates receiving something because she understands that giving is a show of affection, then you can start to have personality clashes and character clashes. So all of a sudden we've got character values that are, butting up against each other if they're not totally, uh, if they're not really compatible. Um, So again, beliefs are just filtering how information comes in, but values is how you are making decisions about what the best action that you could take is. And again, it might not be the same for every character or every person depending on their values. But to me, that value is, how do you know that you are doing a good job as you start working towards the goal? So that is the difference between goals, motivations, values, as well as the difference between beliefs and values, and how they all work together for a character to make a decision. Of course, at some point, we have to bring in all of those opposing values that a character will have, those times that they say, I value creativity and I value giving, but is there a situation where you cannot be creative and give at the same time, and you're going to have to choose one of those values over the other? And there'll be times when, you've got goals that clash, times when you've got motivations that clash. Do I want to make my sister-in-law happy versus do I want to, well, this is a true scenario. So we ended up having her actual party the same day as we did the character workshop. And it was very much it was very, a little bit of a challenge for me because I was doing the character workshop while I was also supposed to be doing things for her party. And so, the motivations between, do I show up 100% for this workshop and for writers? Do I show up, do I show up 100% for my sister-in-law and her party and her whole thing? And that's, and those got to clash and had to be resolved in me. And I looked to the values to do that too. And I said, how can I make sure that I'm doing a good job of all of the things I want to do a good job of? Right. So those are all of my thoughts. Um, about, again, goals, motivations, values, and beliefs and values and how they all work together.